Day to you. It's the 9th out of 21 turns on this game of Operation Weserubung, the invasion of Norway, and we have reached an interesting point. You can see here the other end of the map from the opposite point. There's two Norwegian units here in Harstad and Narvik. Now they're lingering there because these are key victory condition points. If these are still occupied, the Germans do not win the game. There's a few, the Norwegian Navy minus their sub, which is further over this way. Norwegian Navy here. And I've put here is there's the rest. Can you see that? Not very well. I can't zoom in any further than that. But this is what's called a lake airbase. Now the lakes are frozen. There's a bit of lake in this hex, so each side can have one lake airbase in the game, which is very useful when, especially when there's no airfields up here, and also for staging more units. 6 per airfield. They only last up till the end of May, I think, which is 5 or 6 more turns. I put this here really as a reminder. It's to me to make that because I haven't decided on the air bases yet, the lake air bases yet, but obviously I have to do sooner or else they won't be in use. Because the Brits, the Allied forces, their other air bases all the way down there. This is the actual hex. Now they can sort of range about this far, but here is the Norwegian line and it's falling back. Now the interesting point that I wanted to show you is to do with the national morale usage and the morale offensives track. So Germany now has 43 points of national morale. So this is the currency which determines how much you can do, how much is being funneled into this theatre of war in terms of effort and forces. Norway is on 46. Now that is what they have spent. So Norway has spent a hell of a lot on regenerating its forces. That's the dead pool there from which you can replenish all forces except for boats, except for the transports. So Norway has spent most of these points on replenishing units, which are now on the board down there. And they have lost a lot of cities, so they are down. Let's see if we can get a better shot of that. So Norway's down to 34 national morale. Germany's up to 44. So Norway started at 50, if you remember, and Germany at 30. So Britain and France have started gaining some. They started at 20. They've gained a point because they took a city back for the Norwegians. So what this means is that Norwegians have spent more than they have available, which means they can build no more forces. And it also means they cannot buy any offensives. The Germans know this, so without offensives you cannot attack except with boats or aeroplanes. And aeroplanes can only attack ground forces in combination with ground units. So since the Norwegians have no ability to conduct offensives, the Germans can just sidle right up beside them with any sort of weak unit, a parachute unit or anything, and there's nothing that can be done about it. So this means that the Germans who were kind of holed up at Oslo till about 2 or 3 turns ago have now just started flooding forward because they have some offences. So the last 2 turns they just took 1 unit each turn. So the Norwegians are trying to delay them and also hang out in mountainous areas which are harder to attack. The Germans had to keep more or less of a continuous line because Norwegians could potentially zip through and retake a city, which would obviously create troubles. The Germans have to move something back, have a fight, etc. So now the Norwegians can only play a delaying action, and the Germans can move forward unmolested. Over here, the British contingent have been landing some forces here, and have moved them out of. And originally, I think they had one offensive, and they took out some German forces. But again, they haven't got that much ability to spend for offensive. So the British have 21 national morale, and they have spent 8. So as they take more cities back, they will get more. They took back this city, and they sort of, all of these are now back in Norwegian Allied hands. So the Brits can attack, but the Germans are actually stronger numerically in points on the counters than them. So, and the Brits don't have many forces. That is all of their. What you see on the map, plus 1, 2, 3 more units is all they have available. These are all naval. So they've only got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's some Norwegian guys bolted up. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 land units. So they don't want to risk them too much. So they started sidling around here to try and guard the cities around here, and hoping to isolate this unit here, which is standing on Bergen, which is worth 4 points or 2 to the Germans, but it would be worth, I think it would just be worth 2 again to be recaptured. But so that's a sort of a big swing, 2 points either way. So here, yes, you see we've entered a very interesting stage in the game. And the Germans can move north unmolested, that way being north, and they're playing sort of a cat and mouse, dancing around each other game against the Brits down here. So the Germans have had to replenish some forces. They are a little bit nervous because they have spent 43 national morale, and their level is 44, so they can buy one more offensive, then they're going to have to retake some more cities. They've got 2 offensives on the track, so they have to retake a city within 3 offensives, and really you want to take a city with each offensive, or else because that's 1 point for a city, and you want to keep it on parity. So we're at a very interesting point, and there's still a lot of game to play, but the turns are moving very quickly now without the naval units on board, because they've basically scuttled back to port because they were costing folks too much in terms of national morale usage to have floating around in the seas. And remember, we're at a point where the best the Allied forces can get is a draw, because they have lost too many of their capital ships. So that's what we're playing for, either a German victory or a draw.